allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone here, and we will start with the town manager's report.
Good evening, everyone. Last week I attended the New England Management Institute. At the Institute, I was elected to serve on the board of Maine Town, City, and County Management Association. We had several very good sessions, and I have brought back good information on solar energy, as well as some workforce development stuff that I'll be talking with other people about going forward. Also, the police cruiser bid closes on September 10th at 10 o'clock. For more information, you can visit our website or contact Chief Bucknam. For community events, the free concerts in the park at Coburn Park are still going on every Sunday at 5 from now through August 25th. You can get more information from Coburn Park website. And also the Skowhegan Fair is open now through the 17th, and be sure to stop by the New Balance tent sale.
Thank you. Any items by the public? Jason, come on.
Anybody wants to come up, next Tuesday we're doing grand opening expinology in the old Giffords building in Madison. So we got that going up, and we got a lot of business stuff in the works right now. Dead River's doing well, expeditions down the river. They've been doing a lot of kayak rentals and stuff, so definitely get out. Great time to get out and support the local businesses that we have that are running season.
Thank you. I knew you had something. Anyone else? Seeing nothing, we'll move on. Selectmen's items. Betty.
Sorry I missed the last meeting. Actually, before I go there, I'll go to National Night Out, which was a little bit over a week ago. It was an awesome time for kids and families to be at Coburn Park. The police were there, the firemen were there, and the VFW and all kinds of other people. There was the climbing wall, a bounce house. The kids were doing all kinds of things, and opportunities for children to know that people that work in uniforms are safe people to be around. So I just think it's really a good thing, and boy, there were a lot of families having a really good time, and that's a wonderful thing to see. And in regards to last meeting that I missed, I was actually in several different states, and at the time that you were meeting, I think I was in Wisconsin then, and was at a geography conference where they actually, the title was Rural Sustainability, which was really good. I was glad to be there. We went to some farms where they'd changed what they were doing, some CSAs, a farm that was changed into a wedding venue, a farm that was changed into a wine tasting place, just lots of information that I will be sharing with some other people that do those things. And it was just a great trip. Even though I really missed you, I wouldn't have changed it for the world. That's it.
I'm not buying that, but all right.
Sounds good.
Roger?
I'm good, thanks.
Dennis?
No, I'm set.
Gene? All set. And I guess the only thing I have, I didn't make it down to the park. I did happen to go by, and I'm sure the chief will add some of that in, a little bit later. But it looked like it was a pretty good crowd. We had a good crowd through Riverfest, and I did my annual doughboy thing, and it was actually very busy. So I think I cooked 72 doughboys. So the year before we only did maybe 12. So.
And I saw him tasting one to make sure.
And I did taste one because I had to taste the first one. I had to make sure it's okay.
Yep.
But anyway, so that seemed to be, that was a good turnout there. So that was good to see. And we'll move on to department and committee reports. Chief, start with you.
I never go first.
I know.
This is amazing. Where's Greg? So National Night Out on the 6th, Tuesday, earlier in the month, was a phenomenal event. We had a really large outpouring of residents, people from outside the community showed up there as well. And I think it was just a great night all around, perfect weather. I'd like to thank personally Sean Howard and his crew, Denise and her crew, Jason over there in the corner, who else is in here, and Chairman York himself, who helped either by donations or helped coordinate or provided different things to help make it a success, which we believe was. Not sure how we're going to compete next year with what we had this year, but we're going to give it a try. I did tell the guys I'm going to try to get a submarine to come up the river, and he believed me. I will figure something out. On another note, we've had a couple of different calls for service in reference to a pickup truck going around skowhegan residence areas and knocking on doors to see if you want to get your driveway fixed or repaved. And they have some asphalt in the back of their truck. We're not really positive on the legitimacy of these two gentlemen in the red pickup truck. I will be posting something on social media to get the word out. But once they get completed with doing stuff, it seems that their bill seems to be a little bit high, so on. So please be aware that if somebody does approach you like that, they don't have a license of some sort. I probably would be hesitant to have them work on any of my property. So please keep that in mind. Also, make sure that you continue to lock your car doors. The fair is in town, which brings in an exorbitant amount of people here. There's a lot of people walking around after the fact. If you leave your vehicles unlocked, chances are somebody's going to find that vehicle unlocked and you're going to miss some items out of there. So please make sure you lock everything up. If you do have anything that comes up missing, just give us a call at the police station. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief?
Last couple of weeks been pretty busy for the fire department. A lot of back-to-back calls, a lot of fires, both in town and out of town. So that's kept things busy. Also, when we're busy, we can still break things. And so we've had truck repairs and so forth, which just kind of comes with it. Nothing major, but every little bit kind of adds up on the budget. The other thing I wanted to talk about real quick, sadly, you may have heard Captain Jim Lee from Fairfield Fire Department, who recently retired just last month, unfortunately passed away this past week after 45 years of service with the town of Fairfield. So certainly our condolences to his family and the Fairfield Fire Department. So our guys will be attending funeral services on Sunday afternoon for that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Denise?
Just want to let you know we had a successful River Fest. Our glow run on the river was our biggest yet. We had about 70-something in attendance. We also were the busiest at Moonlight with fried dough. So thank you, Paul, for helping out.
Yeah, I didn't want to see fried dough again.
Next year.
The fair.
Wrapping up this week with our summer programs. Our goal this year to feed over 5,000 for the summer food program, which we are going to be going over 5,000. I can give your exact number after this week, which ends on Friday. Football and all the fall stuff will be starting next week. And school after that, so we'll start getting busy on the fields. Next Saturday is our 30th year celebration of the community center, 12 to 2 at the community center. We'll be having a bunch of family events, free hot dogs, and just things just to get the families together to celebrate our 30th year. At night, we have an adult celebration at T&B's from 7 to 11, so everybody adult-wise is welcome that night to come celebrate. So see everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff?
Just a couple of quick updates. The front of the building, the entrance, that's coming along pretty good. They've actually been able to reduce the angle of some of the granite, so it's looking pretty good. There may be some other issues that are coming up, but we're still trying to evaluate those at the moment. But it's gonna look 100% better once they finish up the front of the building. We are finding that there is more places around the building where some of the brickwork is in trouble. When they have the lift here to do the back of the building, they are gonna go around the whole building and give me a report on the joinery in the rest of it and stuff. So we can start looking at what we have to put into budget for next year and stuff. But so far things are going good. If everything works out, we should be starting the heating and cooling system outside of the furnaces this Friday, and that's what we're shooting for. And this is actually a tougher part of the project on the tail end of it, because everybody's waiting for certain specific things to be finished before they can kind of wrap up their things. But I'm hoping within the next month we'll be totally finished, other than training and other stuff for the system. So that's pretty much where we are.
Thank you. Gail?
I think I'm all set, thank you.
Trish?
We have a couple of conditional offers out, one for our solid waste management facility, attendant position and highway, so hopefully that's something for this.
Thank you. And now we're going to have a presentation from Bill Perman, reference to the aging in place plan.
Can you come up here?
Sure.
Thanks for allowing us to take the time to go over the report with you. I believe you got a copy of the report with a draft plan, and it is draft. This is Ken Town. Ken's been an outside evaluator for the project and so forth, so much of the data in the report that's comparing national data and so forth with skowhegan data, and Ken's done that work. In November of 2017, you signed a letter and submitted it to AARP to become recognized as an age-friendly community. And that letter from Paul is in the front of the document. We helped with compiling the data and helping to facilitate the meetings and so forth that went into developing the plan. AARP's process to become an age-friendly community is combined with the World Health Organization's efforts to recognize aging and the things that a community needs or to look at and focus on so that people can age in place in their community. And there are 8 components. They were in your plan. I did bring a copy of those 8 components, and I'll put them on the table for anybody that does not know what they are in the process and so forth. The community leadership is on page 5. So that you can see the people that served on the committees. Some of them are here tonight. Christine and Jeff and Dina were part of this. Dr. Renfro and Jen Olson were also. I don't think anybody else is here tonight was part of that committee. But they spent hours in going over data, deciding what to do for questions, to survey the community, and to produce the report that you have in your hands. The process for carrying this out and so forth is based on the spirit of volunteerism and people getting involved in their community. There are over 65 communities in the state of Maine. Maine has the largest number of communities involved in this process right now. You will be, right now, there's 15 of those 65, close to 70 communities that have done these reports. So you will be one of the few communities that's actually taken the process and worked it through to having a plan and moving forward to complete the plan. There were 33 pages of questions that they recommended that we could draw from, that were used by other communities and so forth. The committee narrowed those pages and questions down to 31. They were placed online for people to respond. They were placed in a paper format. They were placed in places, the library here, the community center. I'm trying to think of where else they got placed in the community, but we tried to get it out in as many places as possible. There were 119 people that responded to the survey. We did a coffee talk in Madison and on tap at Bigelow Breweries for people to come hear about the survey, get a copy of the survey, have a facilitated discussion about this. We also used the Skowhegan Mug-Up site and the Senior Strong Committee as other facilitated groups to reflect on the plan. The report, I think you'll see under each of the domains, lists what they considered to be successes from what people said they really thought the community was doing well, as well as suggestions for things in going forward. 3 of the 8 domains stood out, which was common across all sites: transportation, healthcare, and communication and housing. 39% of Skowhegan's population is 55 or older. It was estimated that in 2013, 1 in 3, so you've already hit that, and it's not 2030 yet, as far as the number of people 55 and older. So there's a population, almost 4 out of every 10, that's meeting criteria for this work to help them live in Skowhegan. The other piece that we thought was very interesting is that 24% is 65 and older. So when you take a look at that, and again, the estimate for 2030 is 25%, 65 and older, so you're there already. So for economic development, I think this report is can be very helpful for the community to move forward. And I'm going to let Ken talk about where we are now, and then I'll just come back and wrap up where we're going, and then we'll be open for questions.
Where we are now piece basically is a few minutes on the process, a little bit more detail on the process that we used, and also on the organization of the plan. As Bill has mentioned, we followed the format that AARP and the World Health Organization laid out, adapted for the local conditions here in Skowhegan, so that where we can summarize things a little more quickly, we did. As Bill also mentioned, the core information that we based the plan on was this survey that 119 people answered, supplemented by the meetings that he mentioned, also supplemented by a number of other surveys that were done statewide or in local communities here in Maine, and also information from several databases that catalog various strategies that communities have successfully used to make their communities friendlier to people who are elderly. The sample of 119, sometimes people are worried that the numbers may not be as big as they should be, because just over 2,000 people are age 60 or older here in Skowhegan. But if you look at the census data and then the profile of the people who answered the survey, they're very similar demographically. So they both overrepresent women, they both have roughly similar percentages of people with disabilities, people who own their own homes, all of those elements. The sample matches pretty well what the demographics of Skowhegan are. Well, what the committee did was to take the survey, take all the other information, all the statewide surveys, all of the other information from other plans around the state, and came up with a plan that touches on 6 different issue areas. And when you look at the plan, you'll notice that for each one of the 6, you have common information. First, there's some comments from the open-ended questions from the people who took the survey. Secondly, are summaries of the data from the survey itself, in quite a bit of detail, actually. Third, as Bill mentioned, the current strengths of the community, and then short-term, mid-term, and long-term actions that might be used to address the issue of making the community more user-friendly for elderly people. The only other thing I would mention is that this is here for your review and feedback. This is very much a report that's in process. It's not finished. It's the first step in the work. Over time, other things hopefully will become apparent that are needed that can be added on. But it's very much in process, as I say. Yep.
Thanks. one of the things to emphasize is there's a lot of wonderful things that are already going on in this community. And the document reflects that. It also is a document that can be used by other groups and organizations as they're looking at their plans as to how to make them more age-friendly for the population. So the process going forward, any feedback that we might get from you tonight will go into the document. It goes off to Maine AARP, where they're gonna basically review it and refer back any resources or things that they think would be helpful to the community. It then goes to the National AARP and the World Health Organization. They have a committee of 3 people that review these reports nationwide. And again, their only purpose is to give any thoughts to resources that may be out there available to the community to be able to use, or suggestions of things that we might want to look at in our plans. They also provide funding support. They provide national funds for AARP age-friendly communities to do community projects, as well as the local Maine AARP can provide some resources and so forth to help. And there's some of that funding that's already been provided to the town for beginning that process. So what we're looking for tonight is questions and the feedback that you might have. We'll incorporate it, send it off. Any feedback we get nationally from the state will come back. And the committee that currently has been acting as a planning committee has said that they would remain as actually a committee to help move the process forward. And I don't know whether you or I, but I know that with your committees, you usually have a select person that sits on committees, so that would be one of the things that we hope that you would approve the people that are there to become that committee, and that you would add someone to it. Anything you want to add to that?
No, thank you very much for all of your work.
Questions that people might have? The people that are here, there are copies over on the table. If you haven't seen them, okay.
And I'd entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this process, and I think it's excellent for our community, especially because we're the county seat and we're also a service center, and because we are aging, and all of these things are really important. And I don't know if you'd like me to put in my motion also that we would keep the same.
It's on the agenda.
Later on it is? Okay, then
First one on the agenda.
then that is my motion then.
Second.
So we have a first and second to accept the aging in place plan for Skowhegan. Any further discussion? Saying none, all's in favor? And I'd just like to thank you folks for all the work. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of work been put into this, and so everybody that's put all this work into it, I do appreciate it. And if there's anything that this board can do to assist and help, then don't hesitate to ask. So.
Thank you. I did read the agenda, but I don't remember that being.
And we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I move we accept the consent agenda.
Second it.
We have a first and second to accept the consent agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor? Regular agenda, discussion decision to create a 9-member age-friendly steering committee and appoint the following in one selectman representative with terms expiring June 30th, 2019.
I make a motion we approve that, and how are we going to add the selectmen?
Will it be 2020?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask that question.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm reading what it's in front of me. I can't go off script.
It's hard to throw us into that next decade, right? 2020.
That is my motion. Okay.
Okay, so to add to that, who would like to be on this committee?
I would be interested if no one else is.
Okay, Tag, you're up.
So is that part of Betty's
Well-
motion?
I add that to my motion.
Awesome.
Who seconded it? I don't remember.
Not yet.
So nobody seconded it?
I'll second it.
Okay.
So we have a first and second to go along with this 9-member, and Jean's going to be part of that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passes 5-0. Discussion decision to approve the special event liquor license to allow Main Street Skowhegan to hold the Craft Brew Festival downtown on August 31st, 2019, from 2 p.m. until 7 p.m.
So move.
Second.
First and second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? 4-1. Discussion decision to expend an amount not to exceed $15 from the revolving loan reserve account for renewal UCC filing for the Mark and Angel Parity RLF loan.
So move.
Second.
We have first and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Passes 5-0. Discussion decision to expend an amount not to exceed $4,400 from the Recreation Department Reserve Account grounds equipment designation to purchase a new 22-foot utility trailer.
So move. Second.
We have first and second. Any further discussion? Dennis?
What's wrong with the old one?
It's old.
It's old, 20 years old, it's had its...
Is it? Okay.
Oh, yeah, rough shape.
No hope for it at all?
You'd have to put a lot of money into it. You'd put a lot of money into it, and
We have the bedding, it's just...
Got it.
this is actually a good price. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all's in favor? Passes 5-0. Discussion and decision to expend an amount not to exceed $2,049.50 from the Police Department Reserve Account drug forfeiture designation for the watch guard warranty, evidence library, and software maintenance renewal.
So move. Second.
Okay, first and second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passes 5-0. Discussion decision to award the cemetery reconstruction bid. The following bids were received. Elias Monuments, $6,682.50, and Maine Highland Contracting, $49,870. And the cemetery committee recommends awarding the cemetery reconstruction bid to Elias Monuments with a total bid amount of $6,682.50, and to expend that amount from the cemetery account monument reconstruction designation.
So move. Second.
We have first and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? What a price difference. Passes 5-0. Discussion decision to allow the highway department to build a road at the East Skowhegan Cemetery. The following bids for this project were received, and we had 3 plus the highway price.
So move.
I thought you were going to say them.
Was that?
Okay, all right. Second.
We have a first and second. Any further discussion? Yes, we do. I'm not for highway doing this. I've been trying to get highway away from doing construction projects. And the price on what he gave us wasn't, versus our lowest bid that came in, not that much of a difference. And I just don't think highway should be doing it. And we could put this thing out for bid, which we voted on. And we did that, and we got these 3 individuals that bid, and I think we should be going with one of them.
Essentially takes highway away from their normal duties, correct?
Correct.
I would tend to agree with you.
Jason?
Is there a reason highway's not listed with their price on here?
We have it.
We get it after the fact.
But the public should hear it.
The price was,
$13,556.50.
Can you clarify, you got it after the bids were due?
Okay, you want me to go for it?
Go
Okay,
for it.
So the highway department didn't bid on the projects. What happened is they had a bid opening with the cemetery committee and decided they'd rather have the highway department do the work, expecting that it would come in at a lower price. Greg was out and he came in Monday to put together what our costs would be to do the project so that we would have that for this discussion. So that cost wasn't available at the time that the agenda was put together. I hope I answered all the questions.
and I agree with where you're going with that, Steve.
So what you're saying is that this isn't actually a bid, it's just a quote of what,
Highway's price is a quote on what they feel that it would cost for them to do the project.
right. So it's not actually a bid along with these three then?
Correct.
Yes, I get it. Betty?
My question is, when the cemetery committee met, did they want to do it with these three bids? What,
Well, I think the thought, and don't shoot the messenger, I think the thoughts are of the cemetery committee that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gene,
I certainly will.
it's, the cemetery is a town property. Feelings that in the past, when it was developed out there, East Skowhegan, the highway department built the roads into the cemetery. It's a town of Skowhegan property. It would be a town of Skowhegan road. And in the past, it was said that the highway department had done it in the past, and it was felt that maybe if they could do it again. That, I believe, is the feelings, correct, Gene?
That was the feeling of the preponderance of the committee.
Right.
And I'll just state again the fact that this will take away from their other duties, which obviously they're busy, they're shorthanded, and I mean, we've heard over and over, you know, when we've asked, well, why certain things aren't done, well, because we haven't had time or whatever. So I just don't think adding another week of work that's going to take away from their other duties that they should be doing or need to be done. I just don't think we should be going there.
so let me, I'm not quite sure. So when the cemetery committee met, they put it out to bid, to be out to bid. They didn't say to the town garage, how much would it cost?
No, we did not.
Okay, so
It was done after we went out to bid.
so they didn't really even know that they needed to do this until after?
What, needed to get Greg's quote?
Right, yeah.
Well,
No, I mean, Greg didn't know that he needed to do a quote until after these were already in.
I wasn't
Is
cognizant
that-
we were going to get a quote from Greg.
Okay,
right.
okay.
So Karen, I know that from past projects, it's always been asked when Greg's going to do a project, it's always been asked from him what he estimates his cost to be. And, I mean, you've seen over the years, we have Greg provide an estimated cost. So when this was going on the agenda, to ask to have the highway department do it, we asked Greg to provide what those estimated costs would be. Because that's how we have always done it.
Okay, but it doesn't sound like the cemetery committee were going to ask Greg to do it. It sounds like they got their bids and then somehow then
It was after the fact.
got changed.
That is correct.
Okay,
I have a caution more than anything else to throw out there. If contractors are coming into this town knowing that they're spending time doing estimates and then knowing that we're going to undercut in the long process, just because something comes in after. Number one, that's going to shortchange us as to the number of contractors that will even bother putting in a bid. And number two, when they do a bid, they're just going to throw a high number at them, knowing that they don't want to spend the time or energy to compete against an in-town service that's going to come in with a number.
Well, that's why we're having this discussion,
Yeah, I know.
trying to figure out when did this happen and what did the cemetery committee expect? So it sounds to me like the cemetery committee expected that these bids would come to us and we would choose one of those bids.
That was my understanding as the rep on the cemetery committee.
We, at our meeting, we did not make a recommendation of
Okay.
any of these bids.
Okay,
You made a recommendation to go with the highway department.
It was open for discussion to see if the selectmen would go that route. If they don't go that route, we'll go, I think the cemetery committee will then have to decide, are we going to go
With Littlefields.
with low bid, or are we going to put it off for another year? Because on it, I think it says you have the right to accept or reject any of the bids.
Yes, we do.
Who is this gentleman? I don't,
Steve Gavoni, he's, tell him what you are, Steve. Go ahead.
Senator, I'm an engineer, a civil engineer located right here in town. My work Partners and Associates is my company.
okay, thank you.
And I agree with everything that you said, Steve. So, anything further?
Do we have a motion?
yeah, we have a
Yes.
motion.
We have a motion to,
So we can discuss it.
Yeah.
right, we have a motion to allow highway, so that's on the table right now. So if there's no further discussion, all in favor of allowing highway to do this project? All those opposed? Passes 5-0.
It fails. 5-0.
It fails, I mean.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, my personal opinion, I mean, obviously you guys have your committee, but I wouldn't postpone it for another year, but,
I agree.
because it's just gonna cost you more
I would like to
money.
make a motion
Yeah, I think that would be excellent.
as the rep of the cemetery committee that we award the bid to Littlefield Construction, 16,547.
Second,
We have a first and second to award this bid to Littlefield's Construction, $16,547.
And I need one more part of that. Where is it expended from?
It's coming out of the capital reserve.
Yes.
So I just have a question.
Yep.
If the selectmen go ahead and approve it, what happens if the cemetery committee say, we don't really want to do that this year, we don't want to go this route? Does the committee then have to do this? Or, just a question,
I guess I'm not really sure why the committee wouldn't want to do it,
I'm
since,
just wondering. I mean,
Didn't you put it out to bid?
we
Yeah.
did, I'm just
That's right.
wondering.
yeah.
I'm just wondering.
No, I would think that because you put it out to bid, that Littlefields was the lowest, that's what they would expect, that's what we would expect, that's what contractors would expect, that this was put out to bid and they, yeah.
Just asking.
So once we award it, it's awarded, and we'll move forward. If you guys, for some reason, want to leave it up to the committee as to whether or not they move forward, you can do it contingent on the committee's approval. I don't know that that's what you want to do, but,
No, not my
No.
second.
okay.
anything further?
Yeah. On Greg's bid, he said it was only gonna take him 4 days to do the job. How long is it Littlefield, did he,
Unless they broke it down, unless they asked for a contract that broke it down into,
We did not.
then you wouldn't know, it doesn't matter, it could take them 2 weeks, it's still only gonna be 16,547,
They have the specs.
so.
And it's certainly not that I don't think that our guys could do a good job, but I think because of the way the bids went out, that we need to honor the bid process.
I agree.
Anything further? All those in favor? Passes 5-0. And I'm just gonna skip over 8 real quick, and we'll come back to that. Discussion decision to allow Denise LeBlanc to go out to bid for tennis court maintenance.
So moved.
Second?
First and second, any further discussion? All those in favor? Passes 5-0. Discussion decision to allow the cemetery committee to go out to bid for tree removal in the Southside Cemetery and Bloomfield Cemetery.
So moved.
Second?
We have a first and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Passes 5-0. Discussion decision to allow the cemetery committee to go out to bid for stump removal in Bloomfield Cemetery.
So moved. Second.
We have first and second. Any further discussion?
We're taking down trees in the south side and Bloomfield. Why are we just removing stumps at Bloomfield?
We usually let the stumps set for about 2 years before we remove them, but for ease of removal.
Okay?
Yeah, we cut a bunch of trees in Bloomfield.
That's right.
We already cut a bunch of trees in Bloomfield.
Oh, I see.
Yes, oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
About 2 years ago, we took out 4 big pines.
Yeah.
Any further? All in favor? Passes 5-0. Discussion decision to approve the license to enter and use to allow Wentworth Partners and Associates to utilize 2 mulched areas located at the southwest corner of the municipal parking lot for planting and landscaping.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and second. Any further discussion?
I want to say, what you have done looks fantastic.
And I guess I would just like to say, I appreciate, something stepping forward and wishing to do this. In my opinion, the town should be, I think the town has fallen short in many ways, reference to, upkeep stuff, and not necessarily, I know Jeff has tried very hard this year to try to find people to do things, and that's been difficult. I just think the town, we need to start thinking about stuff that we need to do. And so I do appreciate, people, such as yourself that are stepping up to say, hey, I want that to look nice and, near my place, and I'll take care of it. So, anything further?
There's some selfish reasons here.
I was,
Well,
and I was thinking about that today when I was driving, because there was a town that I went through, and they had like this board up and thanking people for taking care of roadside stuff, and they had several businesses up there that were getting kudos for taking care of certain roads that they were taking care of, and I was thinking about that, so thank you for the offer.
it may be selfish, but hey, if it's gonna look good, then
I realize that from where I sit in the office, I can't see any of the garbage. But I can see the fun.
you can see those.
There are selfish reasons, yeah.
Dennis, do you have something?
My wife says, yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's true.
Dennis, did you have something else?
Yeah, discussion to approve a license and to enter and use to allow Wentworth. What are we actually doing here?
Basically, the 2 islands that are near his building,
Right,
he wants to basically landscape, put flowers, and make it look beautiful. And we've entered in such contracts with other businesses in town in the past.
okay.
And so, we had drawn up this nice little contract in here, so everybody knew exactly what it meant and pertained, and that we weren't giving him this piece of land
we have a similar agreement with Variety Drug. The gardens, the landscaping in front of their business, that's actually town property. So we worked with the attorney, I believe, to come up with the agreement for them. And so Kara took the time to modify the agreement to work for this space.
Why do they need a license? Why don't we just go into an agreement with them to maintain that property?
The license actually protects the town. If when I'm weeding and I get hurt, it's basically saying that license is really protecting the town in terms of I can't come back at the town and say, hey, I got hurt on your property. I got hurt doing what I said I was going to do, which is landscape and plant and weed and maintain. So the license is really a protection for the town.
It's really just an agreement, but it's just called a license to make it legal.
Anything further? All in favor? And again, thank you.
That was a good question.
Discussion decision to appoint two representatives for the KV-COG General Assembly, one selectman and one other representative.
I move we appoint Betty as our select representative and Christine also as our representative, excuse me.
I'll second that.
We have a first and second to appoint Betty and Christine. Any further discussion? All in favor? Discussion decision to schedule a joint meeting with the planning board.
So the last 2 years, we've been going to the planning board meetings. That's been convenient. I don't know if you still want to plan on doing that. So the planning board meetings are the first Tuesday of the month at 7 o'clock. Or you could throw out another option.
First Tuesday, is it? I don't have my phone.
So September 3rd would be the day after Labor Day. So we usually do it like September, October. I think last year we did October. The first Tuesday of October is October 1st.
It almost seems like October might be easier to make sure we get more planning board members. You know, the day after Labor Day, it's,
I concur.
So do I.
I make a motion that we check with the planning board and see if they want to meet with us on Tuesday, the 1st of October.
What is the purpose of this meeting?
So we meet with the planning board to discuss things that we would like them to work on in the upcoming year. So some of what was discussed at your goals workshop will carry on into that conversation. They work on all of the ordinances, so that's where we have a conversation with them about what you'd like to see it worked on for the next meeting, for the next town meeting for adoption.
Thank you.
So we have a first and second to check on the October 1st meeting with the planning board. Anything further? All in favor? Doesn't make any difference to me. She just tells me where I gotta be and I gotta be. Good boy. Well, I complain and then I go anyway, so. All right. Treasurer's warrants to be approved in the amount of, and there was a change, $610,955.37.
So moved.
Second.
First and second. All in favor? And now we'll go back to 8, discussion decision to move Jeff Hewitt, Tricia Austin, and Gail Pelot from Class 1 to Class 2 on the department head pay scale.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first and second, discussion.
Why at this time?
What was that?
Why at this time?
It was a request from them that they wanted to move from Class 1 to Class 2.
Why wouldn't we do or talk about that when we do the budget?
Good question.
We can, and I guess it doesn't make much difference whether we discussed it now or discuss it then. I guess after, I mean, I looked at the pay scales, and I mean, we implemented these pay scales, and the purpose of the pay scales was, I mean, at the time, we realized that that people need to, at some point, bottom out, so it just doesn't keep going. And we placed people in these classes where we thought they needed to be, which is how we come up with our pay scales. So
Criteria, my understanding was some of the criteria has changed on some of these people.
As far as?
What
Duties.
duties?
So there was an added duty for Jeff's position.
Correct.
And then as far as anyone else, I'm not aware.
And I think that at the time when we did them too, I think we had talked about, there was just a lot of talk when we did that. And if I remember correctly, I think it was just Paul and I that were, and we all had said that, it was really a lot of talk even then, and that, we could always look at it again or think about it. And I think that looking at it, I think this is a good time to do it, because then when we get to budget time, people will be where they're gonna be, and then we can, and it's easier to look at the budget that way. So I think this is a good time to do it.
And I guess, just to play devil's advocate here, just to throw out for the board, keep in mind, if we were to go through with this, that moves all of those people. I mean, they're placed where they're at because of the amount of time that they've been here. That's part of it. So that's, they're their step and their scale. If we do that, then that moves them all the way back up, and then they have that much longer to, and then there's nobody in Class 1. So that just kind of throws our scales all off, because now we won't even have anybody in Class 1. And when we have to rehire, then where do we start putting people?
We can, when we hire somebody, we can put them in Class 1.
Well, it's based on John title, so, I mean, we just can't flip-flop back and forth and to say, well, okay, we're gonna hire.
Well, I think and I'm hesitating about how much we can say, because if we start actually talking about people's personal positions and where we put them, I think that when someone new is hired, you can look at that, Christine, correct?
Okay, so I have, so we have 6 pay scales in town. The pay scale defines what the title, which class the title is in. So if we put these 3 individuals into Class 2, that means we're moving those job titles into Class 2, which means Class 1, there's nobody in Class 1. So let's say Jeff, for instance. If Jeff retires, his position if you approve this, would be in class 2. In order for me to put that new job title into class 1, that nobody's in, I'd have to get you guys to approve a new pay scale. Right. And then as far as discussion, I've had thorough conversation with the attorney. Everything that we discussed as far as compensation, as far as duties, including individuals, the only reason we would be able to go into executive session, all of this information is public information. The only way we could go into executive session is if what we talk about would reasonably be expected to cause damage to an individual's reputation. So unless we were to bring performance into the conversation, everything that we're going to talk about has to be done in public session.
I have a question, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the departments that are in class 1 are administrative. Departments in class 2, I'm not sure why Parks and Rec is in class 2, but the other ones, their job duties would be on an emergency call basis, correct?
They all have the potential to be, yes.
Right. So am I correct in assuming that the ones in class 1 aren't? Follow me? All right. And can't be called into an emergency situation, or like, say, the police chief, the fire chief, road commissioner?
The likelihood is much lower.
Right.
Yep. When we started doing this pay scale, we looked at the old pay scales that the town had. We also looked at pay through salary surveys, and when we started out, the first draft of this pay scale actually had 3 classes with both the fire chief and the police chief in the 3rd class. We then changed it to just 2 classes. Originally, the Parks and Rec director was in the 1st class, and then based on discussion of the number of employees in the facilities that she maintained, the board at the time chose to put that position into class 2. But looking at all the older pay scales that the town had, that's the order in which they were previously. There were multiple classes, with the more administratively driven positions being in the lower starting range classes.
So if we move these 3 positions into class 2, that basically eliminates class 1.
In my mind.
Because if you, I don't know who the first to retire would be, but you said Gail retired.
Jeff.
Okay, if Jeff retires, then we hire a person to take his place. The position is already in scale 2, so that's where that position is going to go, unless we decide later to shift it back down.
That is correct.
And I'm really not sure why you would. I think that your scales are driven based on duties, responsibilities, and qualifications.
So if we move that to scale 2, then it'd stay there, and we wouldn't move those positions again. If we hired somebody to take Jeff's place, they would probably go to the, I don't know if it's be the top of the scale.
If you feel that, I mean, and we're just using Jeff as an example, but if you feel that Jeff's job, duties, responsibilities, and qualifications dictate that that his position is in class 2 with these other positions, I don't know why a different person coming in, if they're doing the same duties,
Right.
have the same responsibilities and qualifications. I don't know why we would talk about opening back up class 1.
Right.
Qualifications.
Well, if someone has a larger amount of qualifications, we would bring them into a higher step in the same class.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure why we're discussing that either, but I think if that is in the thought process, I think we should tread very lightly reference to thinking of we're gonna flip-flop back and forth. I just think we're opening up a major issue there as far as doing that, so.
Well, I don't think we should flip-flop, but I think we have adequate positions, or slots, I should say, in 2 that we could do what needs to be done.
And again, I'm just throwing this out, and that just, the reason for the scales was so people would top out. You've already got people that are at the bottom of the scale, and they're at where they're at because they've been here, so that's why they're there, and that's just gonna move those 3 people back up the scale and be that much longer before they bottom out. Anything further?
If we did move them from 1 to 2, would they go higher on the scale?
So based on what I believe the request is, they're not looking for a pay increase, they're looking to go into the step that would be just above what they currently make. So I've done up a visual. You guys can certainly have copies if you like. So right now, Trish is in step 14, Gail's in step 15, and Jeff is in step 17. Based on what I believe their request is, Tricia would go into step 6 of class 2, Gail would go into step 7 of class 2, and Jeff would go into step 9 of class 2. So it's not like, it's a few dollars over here to make this move, so it's not a lot of money we're talking about, but what it does is it puts them lower into the scale so that they have the opportunity to continue to receive increases for a longer period of time.
So Tricia would actually be taking a cut,
No.
is what you're saying?
No. So right now, she's in step 14 of class 1, which is $27.17 an hour. She's
Right.
requesting to go to step 6 of class 2, which is $27.60 an hour. So it's not a cut in pay, it just gives her more years to be able to obtain step increases.
Yeah. I got my wrong glasses, so I'm mixing Gail and Tricia up.
Gail?
So just to be a devil's advocate, I probably should sit here and be quiet. But, so I know when the classes were done, and we were told about them, there was a little bit of talk about, and I've already said it to all of you, whether we met 2 at a time or 1 at a time, where, I'm gonna get my train of thought. It had something to do with facilities and if you were supervisors of people, which basically, they put me where I was. It is what it is. But then after thought, it's like, in all of our instances, Jeff has now, taken on new responsibilities. Tricia basically deals with every single department head and every single employee one time or another. mostly every single week, can be every single day. For myself, front office, we take in millions of dollars. I have 4 people that I supervise. Not only that, I run state elections. With the cemetery committee, supervise the cemeteries. I mean, it's a lot of hats. We all wear different hats. And I'm not going to use the word that I've used before when some people were put in 1 and some people were put in 2. The classes, we're all department heads. I think we should all have the opportunities of being able to, and not that it's the money factor, it's like the department heads they can make a certain amount of money when they're going to top out. It's going to be what it is. We're in the class that their department heads are going to top out higher than us, and not only that, you also have people in different departments who have worked for the town less years, and I know you can't compare apples to oranges, but they're going to have the opportunity to top out at a higher rate, and they're not department heads. Maybe I'm wrong in making that statement, but I just think if we're all department heads, I don't know why you have to do away with that class. If you have somebody who comes in that takes one of our places and has no experience, then they would go into that class. Just because 3 people are moving out and going in with the other ones, if that does occur, it doesn't mean that class necessarily goes away. It's still there. It's still there. Somebody comes in and meets the criteria.
Just want to clarify, there's no other pay scale class anywhere that a person would make more per hour than
at topping out
a salary.
So maybe I'm talking about,
unless they're working overtime. I have all 6 pay scales here. So looking at the hourly rate that the class that you're in right now tops out at $30.59. There's no other.
What's the one that we're going in, what does it top out at?
$36.42. But you were talking about people that weren't department heads. That's what you stated. I'm not sure if that's what you meant.
Well, maybe, and I probably made something up, was trying to make another point, but I'm not going to like really verbalize that.
Okay. Clarify.
I'm going to state, if you're looking at years of service, there are some people in class 2 that do not have anywhere near the years experience we have. I believe that we're not trying to pick on another department head, anyone else. I believe we all work as hard as one another. There are things, budget meetings I'm required to attend. There's all kinds of things I have to be here. I don't get compensated for. I don't ask to get compensated for. I have a part-time staffer that, due to the fact that the front office is quite busy and also does another position here at the town hall, I don't get hardly as much. The job is a lot. I believe that Gail, myself, and Jeff I'm not looking to, I know I'm not, and from what I've heard from these folks, I don't speak on their behalf, I'm not looking to tap out anymore. I have a feel I'm going to go, and I know Jeff's going to go before me, and I don't know how long Gail plans on staying, but I do believe as a request that we deserve to be in class 2, not because of we're going to get rich or anything like that. I think it's the job experience we have. We've all been here a lot of years, and we work really hard. We're not perfect, but we work really hard as everyone else, and I think that we deserve to go on to class 2. I was part of the pay scales, and I don't believe there was total criteria as to how we got to class 1, but I don't want to sit down argue about it, but I just don't believe that, so I'm not gonna be making a ton more, and when we met with Christine, we were asked, we were looking for more money, we obviously have to go into the scale close to, not all looking to jump up 5 steps, and we had 20 some odd years, almost, 25 years of experience, if not close to 30, and I think that, I don't know if deserve is the right word, but I do believe that we
So, just I have a question. So if it's not more money that you're looking for, and if it's not more, more steps to top out at, I'm not sure what we accomplish by putting you into the other class.
We're not singling them out in one class that's kind of lesser than the other class. And that's my words, nobody else's words. That's what, and at the time when we did this, I can remember some of us didn't feel comfortable with that. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm ready to vote.
Anything further?
I got a question. I got to go along with the team. What are you gaining by?
Because I think we fit under the same criteria as the other folks based on job duties, job responsibilities, when we have to be here, how much we have to be here. We give 155%, and I'm not stating anyone else doesn't within the town.
So you're just looking for parity?
We have talked about it before, we actually talked about a little before budget, but budget is a busy season, it's very hard, we're all working 100 miles an hour and time gets away from me, but this is something that
I'm just trying to figure out what the criteria was, putting you 3. So what is the difference?
If there was anything ever stated, at least I never heard of what the criteria was, and I know Paul mentioned tonight that longevity was. Well, basically, I've got 29 years in as a department head. If you're doing it just from that side of it, you would have thought that that would have pushed us on the other side. I'm never going to top out, because I'm not going to be here that much longer. So I'm not going to top out either schedule, but I do think the stuff that I've taken on and stuff everyone else has taken on justifies us being in class 2. And I think that it is it's hard to understand why it wasn't that way to begin with, but there was a lot of things going on when that was done, and there's probably reasons that we don't know why it was done, but it just doesn't sit right for us.
Anything further?
Do you think your job description should be changed? I mean, in writing, I mean, in...
I don't think you could add much more to some of them. I don't know how you, finance and HR is a lot, there's a lot of responsibilities. Yeah, I mean, we stay as many hours as they need to, or do whatever is asked of us, just like, I mean, I don't think our job description is very less than.
I'm getting the feeling that it's changed from when you were first hired.
Mine has changed multiple times over the years and stuff. And again, I had no problem taking on the municipal building when Randy asked me to look at that. But that is a lot more hours above and beyond on, because when Jason's not here, I'm here at 7:15 every morning and stay at 5 that night to make sure everything's closed up and stuff. That's just added stuff. I have no problem. I think any of us, when we're asked to step forward, have stepped forward and done what's been asked of us. You know, as I say, but it takes a lot of time. It's not, you know, a 40-hour week job, any of our jobs.
I still haven't heard what the criteria was that placed them into one where the others were into two.
You're not going to because there was nothing.
No, there was lots of talk and different people's opinions, and so I don't think you can really, and I don't think it's a problem to have one scale for all the department heads.
I have multiple old pay scales that the town has had over the years, and there's always like a separation of classes, and we mirrored that somewhat. And I would assume, based on how it looks, that it's based on qualifications, duties, and responsibilities.
Can I speak? I guess I don't understand why you wouldn't want to support these three positions into the net. I mean, we're talking about people that have been here 20 plus years in their position. And we're not talking about a ton of money. We're talking about being recognized for the many, many, many extra hours they've put in to their job to make this town run.
When no one has said that they haven't done their job or they don't do their job and maybe go over and above.
No.
And I can tell you, I mean, it is, I mean, if they were to stay, I mean, we are talking a lot of money, I mean, over time. And, I mean, every department head, every employee can sit here and basically say, well, I do this business and I really should have more money or whatever. You know,
There is a component of recognition after you've been somewhere for 20 plus years.
Well, we put scales in place so people would bottom out so it doesn't just keep going, because everybody's gonna keep saying, well, I deserve, and they do deserve, but, I mean, there's only so much money to go around, so. All right, so, there's nothing further, we'll go to vote here. So, all in favor of moving Jeff, Trish, and Gail to Class 2? All in favor? All opposed? Fails.
Do we have any other reports to come back?
If you have more information to add, they may listen to that, but.
Because I just would really like to state that I think that we look over job descriptions and what we do compared to what the other people do, and that people are allowed to go into a class with many less years, not as much job responsibility. I think for us is unfair. I was part of the pay scales. I don't believe that my job description is any less than any other, nor do I of anyone else's to be on class 2. In fact, I feel like sitting here, some people are being judgmental of what we're asking, and I just feel like it's the same way when it was into the first scale, that we're not looked at the same as others.
And I don't believe, I mean, for me, that's certainly not the case. And I mean, this is not an easy topic, one way or the other. And I mean, I've struggled with this, I've looked it over. And, you know, we implemented these pay scales. And, you know, I don't know, maybe there are people where they shouldn't be and should be wherever, you know, I don't know. But I mean, the reason we did this was so, because, I mean, for years, it was just basically free-for-all, and people were just gonna keep going and just keep making, and there was just no end.
Well, I go on and say I'm not looking for a free-for-all.
And I'm not saying you guys are, I'm just saying that was why we implemented the pay scales. And then that just kind of, to me, kind of destroys the pay scale at this point. I mean, and there's nothing against any of what you guys do. You guys, I mean, you guys do more than your fair share. Absolutely. I don't think anybody up here is gonna argue that point. And nobody looks at you folks any different than anybody else. I know that's probably how you guys feel. I get it, I do, but that's certainly not this board's intention. It's
It may
not.
not have been the intention, Paul, but it is definitely very clear that's what is happening. And it is going to impact how we go into the future. But you voted, that's what it is.
Okay, other business. And unfinished business. Where do we stand with the vehicle charging? Do we know?
We're waiting to hear back on the grant.
Okay. And we will sign documents and adjourn the meeting.